Hi guys, Calvin here. Um, I realized that we went through a lot of material during the work and purpose seminar. We didn't get to really get to grips with the actual worksheet. So I've compiled this video to really help you out and just go through it step by step. I've provided my own examples of answers I have put down for this worksheet, and just to show you how you can apply this in your life. um, you'll find that some would not have actually even attempted to do this. Application is always key. Knowledge is one thing, acquiring it is one thing, but one has to go the extra level and then apply. And this is what this video is all about. I want to make sure that you follow along with me. Get a copy of the actual worksheet, print it out, sit down, and let's go through this worksheet together. Okay, so this is really a worksheet to really understand your shaping for your purpose. I threw in a verse which speaks to that we are God's handiwork, created in Christ Jesus to do good works, which God prepared in advance for us to do. That's Ephesians 2:10. So the real starting point, section 1, is assessing the gifts and the abilities that you have. What do you really enjoy doing the most? So this is an exercise which you want to do either over time, over a little bit of time, but spend some time thinking through what you do and what you're good at. This first question is really pointing to what do you really enjoy the most. When you do it, you probably feel most alive and you lose track of time. So these currently could be your hobbies or your interests. I say to list down 3 things. For myself, I put down designing in Photoshop. That was one of the most amazing kind of experiences that I have. I totally get lost in designing things in Photoshop, and just the colors and just the combinations and the infinite possibilities of doing amazing work. Photography is another thing. Once I got my first camera, I would totally lose track of time, totally engrossed in what I was doing. Web design, my friend and I actually started up a web design company in varsity, and it was interesting just to see how we naturally kind of gravitated to it, and it was an easy way to also make money on the side as well. So that's something which I already had. Looking over stats and numbers, this was kind of a weird one, and I think I added it in so that you don't look down on some of the weird stuff that you do, right? I actually enjoy going through spreadsheets, numbers, graphs, pie charts, comparing figures from last week to this week, yesterday to today. I absolutely enjoy that. It just helps me get a better grip of things and progress and success metrics. Second question is, what activities have you been good at and successful in consistently? So this is pretty cool. These are probably your natural talents, and you may have been awarded for these natural talents before in your past. I ask you to list 3 things. I'll give you an example of that. For myself, it was a design project which I did based on the Kulula airline travel. This was a conceptual project which I created, came up with the problem, then came up with a solution, then executed it as a design project just to really test out my design skills. But I got awarded for the design, the conceptual design, uh, by an online art community. So that was really good feedback from the market telling me that I was actually good at something. I've written an article on redesigning FMB's website to make it easier for users. So when FMB released their website initially, it was not the best, and there was a lot of backlash across social media and a couple of articles about it. And I felt they could have done the transition between the old and the new much better. And so I wrote up an article about it, and then I also included my recommendations and example designs which FMB could have done. This was pretty cool because, and then I wrote this article. So this is the key. I wrote this article on News 24, and it caught fire. Like, I had so many people reading the article, so many people commenting and saying, you raise up some great points. And eventually, I had a couple of employees from FNB getting in touch with me, and then the actual HR department getting in touch with me and just asking, do you want to come through for an interview? Very easy way to just really do great work, give value, and then the opportunity kind of opens up. Number 3, what activities have family, friends, teachers, colleagues complimented you on or asked for your help in? List 3 things. So this is really focusing on what people have said to you. We may put on almost like a facade of humility to say, I'm not really that good at that. But when you keep hearing it from different people, it is an indication that you are actually good at what you do or what they are talking about. So for myself, my drawing ability was something which people picked up very early on in my life, and this was mainly in primary school, beginning primary school, and I realized I had a natural talent for being artistic. Photography as well. I took a couple of photos for friends and did the retouching, and people were impressed. They were like, that's some great work, that's fantastic. I put it down. Managing money. I've had friends say, it's quite impressive how you seem to always have money and can always help out and stuff. So those 3 are put down as activities people have spoken about. Section 2 goes into some of your skills and experiences. These are different from your gifts and abilities from section 1. Here we're looking at what you learned from school, courses, and work. These are skills which you have attained as technical abilities, but they are ones which you have found interesting and passionate about, which I want you to write down. So I broke it down. Here are some of my examples. Creative problem solving, software project management, surveying, user testing, group facilitation. So I enjoy being in a group setting. I enjoy taking on a project and managing it from start to finish. Computer science was the degree that I actually did in varsity. So I attained some programming skills and some development skills. And also building social accounts. Spent some time in Facebook and Instagram and just learned how to actually build audiences on those social accounts. Number 5, during which experiences did you feel most alive? This is very important. Experiences that you felt most alive or did you find most rewarding to you? Examples could have been helping out as a kitchen, teaching a group of kids, or playing a sport. The examples I put down here were interaction design with people. So this is just testing software, um, which is either on the phone or on a desktop with actual users, and really learning how they behave and why they do what they do. Actually, I found that experience rather intriguing, and just made me want to pursue it a bit more. Business module in honors. So in honors, you do about 12 modules, and one of them was business module. It was conducted by one of the professors from the graduate School of Business at UCT, and he was already running a company as well. So what he was speaking about was actually from his experience of running companies. Found it fascinating and found it really cool that you could marry the skills that you have with a business mind, to see what value you can give to the market and give to people. Teaching at Varsity College was another experience. Probably one of the very probably natural kind of experiences which really I found most rewarding, and it was mainly because I got to interact with people. I got to have knowledge exchange and to add value to other people, in this case students, and just helping them across, learning where they're not doing so good and helping them out. Running a website business, as I mentioned before, starting a brand on Instagram. It's been very rewarding. You feel a sense of accomplishment, managed to build up an audience and a brand on Instagram. Building a software product, learning how to actually create something of value which someone would want to download or buy. Those experiences have helped me out quite a bit. Section 3 goes into getting focused. So this is just a summary of what you've done in section 1 and section 2, but now we're zeroing in on how to move on from there. So you have found out what your natural talents are, what your natural giftings are as well. What do you then do? The key thing is to experiment on your key activities as a profession. You now want to start looking at what you enjoy doing and what you're good at as a profession, and where you could start testing that out. So I say here, write down 2 activities that really stand out from the section 1 and section 2 that you could experiment on as a profession for the next 6 months. Very short-term type goal. You can tackle the first task maybe in the first 3 months, and the second task in the second 3 months. This could be part-time, but we'll get into that part in the sections to come. My example for activity 1 was software product creation, because it also ties in my creative problem solving and strategic skills. It's something which I definitely want to test out. So at this stage, you don't know whether this is a good fit as a job. So what you want to do is to try it out, get a feel for what the nature of work is, and if you would actually enjoy it. You should be able to enjoy it since it is naturally coming from your talents, your gifts, your skills and experiences. And this is just a platform to summarize that and say, okay, cool, these are the 2 which I want to really focus on. Brand building, mainly because of my social account creation and growth skills. So what you can see is I've tied in who I am to an activity, and then that forms kind of the nucleus of a job or a profession that I would want to chase. I can already start researching if I know of certain titles which this kind of involves in. So if you know there's a profession, for instance, called brand builder on LinkedIn, you can already go in, search for brand builder, look for people who do that title, and see what they do, and also see how they got to where they got, how they got to being a brand builder, and if possible, actually get in touch with them, take them out for lunch, prepare very good questions, sit down for a good 30 minutes, 1 hour, ask them very good questions and say, just around the nature of the work. Do they enjoy what they do? What do they do? What's the most exciting part? What's the most challenging part? Okay, let's move on to section 4. Who can you help? This is very important. Now, these last two sections are extremely important. So, our purpose doesn't actually exist in isolation, but alongside the purpose of others. So, remember, we were speaking that this document is about discovering your shape, and your shape fits into another piece which has its own shape. Your shape has a particular groove which fits into another piece. What that speaks of is your purpose is not necessarily just for you to do well in life and for you to just deal with your personal needs alone, but it could be that your purpose helps move your family out of poverty, move your family out of strife and conflict. It could be one which opens doors in helping perhaps your siblings to go to school. It could be one where it allows for you to kind of pave the path and just create an example for someone else to live out their purpose. This is what we mean by your purpose is not in isolation, it doesn't work in isolation. Even Jesus had 12 disciples. His purpose had to be, for it to be achieved, needed those 12 disciples. And the 12 disciples' purpose, for their purpose to actually work, they needed Jesus. So you can see almost like a symbiotic relationship between the master and the disciples, and how what they were intending to achieve was helped by what the other person was doing and how they were living out their purpose. So the same for you. I say here that you need to kind of think outside the box and say, who can you help today achieve the dreams, help them achieve their dreams using the areas that we just listed above. And I say, try listing 3 names. Could be a friend, a family member, a business colleague, or a company. If you are looking for a job, I would go for the company one, where you can actually go to a company and say, I would like to create some social accounts for you and help you grow on Pinterest or on Instagram or on Snapchat. Or I could go to a company and say, I would like to create a mini product which solves a problem within your agency. Not too many companies will refuse that, especially if you say for free. You should never try charging your services ahead of time or charging for your talents ahead of time. Always ask to do things for free. So I've written here I'll probably try to use some of those skills for my wife, for my own company, and for my church. These are just three areas which I feel drawn to actually really plug my skills and abilities into at the present moment. Section 5 is to test and experiment. So now, how are you gonna actually go about doing this, right? Is it gonna be in the form of an internship, in the form of a personal project, or in the form of part-time job? Now, this is where the aspect of where you are in your life kind of comes into play. If you have time, let's say you're a student or maybe you're on holiday, I would take it as an internship and you go and test out those activities with a company, with a friend, or maybe helping out a family member. Or you could take it on as a part-time job if they're willing to pay you for your services. Otherwise, if you're still in a job and you don't have a lot of time, and let's say you got a 8 to 5 sort of job, what makes sense is to actually do the project after work. So you do what you need to do at work, come back from home, cook, have food, sit down, and then start working on a project for someone, for a company, as we mentioned just in the previous section, or for who you can help, whether it's for your friend, a family member, or a business colleague, or a company, and you work on it as a personal project. And then that just gives you a bit of momentum. And hopefully this worksheet kind of gives you a starting point to start exploring some of your skills and your abilities. Please do not be limited by the fact that you are in a job that you don't enjoy, or you're still trying to figure out what's my next move. It's important to test and experiment what you are good at. You will never know until you try it out. The best experience sometimes is the experience you get on the job. And it's important to just not assume that a certain type of job is better than another type of job. So this is mainly the trap that we fall into when we're young, or maybe we're looking for a degree to study in varsity. We assume that if I just study accounting, I'm gonna earn lots of money and I'm actually gonna enjoy doing accounting. Maybe I actually don't even love numbers, and unfortunately I've already committed to studying accounting, and you're probably 4 years down the line and you're like, oh my gosh, I actually don't like accounting. I like painting. So it's imperative to have tested out accounting. What one could have done in that scenario would have been to either sit down with an accountant and ask them what do they do, or do some of the work that an accountant does, just to get a feel for what you'll be doing for the majority of your life. Remember, work is going to take up a substantial amount of your time. It's important that you get it right. And God did not really intend for us to be stuck in a job which we don't enjoy, where we're depressed, where we're complaining. He really wanted to give us like fullness of life, a job which you feel alive to be at work in, and one which you can really wake up in the morning and be like, I'm ready to go, let's do this. So this was just a video to really help you guys out. Follow through on what you heard at the seminar. It's not good enough to just hear information and hear and say, oh wow, that was an amazing seminar, oh fantastic, but then not do anything about it. Jesus actually said that let me show you the man who takes my word and puts it into practice. He is like a man who built his house on a rock. And when the winds and the waves came, they did not bring down the house because it was built on a rock. He was using that metaphor not to speak about foundation, but actually speaking about the practice of his words that he was speaking. And this is what the common misconception about the faith. People think it's just a religious thing, but it's actually applicable to life, and you should be applying it to life and seeing results from the application of it in your life. So yeah, I want to thank you once again for coming through to the seminar. Hopefully this helps, and please just send us some feedback on some of the activities that you want to focus on in the next 6 months, just the 2 activities. Hit us up on the email and just tell us what you have discovered through this experience and through this worksheet. Thank you so much for listening. Cheers.
Listen up, babies. Life's not fair. You get no say in the world you're born into. You don't decide your name. You don't decide where you come from. You don't decide if you have a place to call home, or if your whole family has to leave the country. Yeah, it's messed up. You don't decide how the world judges a person like you. You don't decide how your story begins, but you do get to decide how it ends. Yes!